Hi traders, this is my evening video. I am working every day this week, so I'm not around during a normal trading session. Maybe this will help you out here. I got a little red trend line right here. This is where we closed out September. And so far the SPY is holding out real well. Uh, we did close the last hour today of trading. There's only been 2 days in the month so far. But the last hour of the trading came down to the 1 hour 50-day moving average, and we did get a little bit of responsive buying into the close. But so far, we haven't filled this gap from Monday, so I think that's going to fill. We'll see what happens. We do have a an event tomorrow. Lennar reports their earnings, okay, and that's going to be problematic, or that could cause a short squeeze in the markets. So I just want to bring that up, mention that. I'll bring the chart up in a minute. The cues on the accelerated uptrend on the 1 hour chart are actually closed in a more bearish tone for the uptrend for the cues. So we could actually gap are most likely going to open lower on the cues tomorrow, because since we closed on the more bearish side. So we'll see what happens and go from there. And if you look at your daily here, we're actually getting a shooting star formation versus yesterday's body. So that is a more bearish tone for the cues. On our IWM, so far we have a complete rejection of value, and we had a momentum fib fan momentum change as of Monday, and we had a continuation as of today. Very strong bearish pattern in IWM right here. So I just wanted to point that out. We did come down to some reference support and closed right there today. Now, if you go out on your weekly here, you see how strong this candle is to the bearish side. We do have a little bit of reference support here, but we also had a fib fan zone there acting as a support layer. We actually don't have that here. We closed on that area for the reference as before, but this is actually quite a bit more bearish here. So I do not see that as immediate support here for the IWM. Now tomorrow, it got really bearish for Lennar going into the earnings, and we had a massive sell-off into the earnings event, but then the numbers were less bad, and the guidance was less bad, and we had a gap up the very next day on their earnings report. And here we are at far lower levels here, and we could potentially get another gap up here. Now, if you go out in your monthly here, we are below the 50-day monthly moving average, so this is quite a bit more bearish chart for Lennar going into the earnings event. Now our XHB, that's our home builders index, it's actually breaking down. We've had this breakout level that started back in last September. So a year ago we had a breakout, and as of this week so far, we are breaking down below this this year-long breakout level in our home builders. And what's facing the home builders it's on several fronts here. One is labor. They're gonna, then yet plus you have your potential demand for new constructions, and then finally you got the tariff issues. All three are major concerns for the home builders, and there's going to be talk about that in the earnings call, and lots and lots of risk coming into these numbers in the morning. As you can see on the weekly here with your regional banks, we're down here testing a prior support range on the weekly, and this is only 2 days into it, and we've come crashing down. That's why I said at the beginning of the video we might get a short squeeze if it's if the data coming out of Lennar is less bad. So I'm not saying it's going to be good, but it might be less bad than what the markets are anticipating. But we do have a support level there, but it's not a fib fan support area, which that's what I would prefer to see. And since we've crossed over this fib line right here, we're actually crossed into bearish territory as of last week in the regional banks. So even though we're in the same price zone, this is more of a bearish take than it's ever been in this zone before. Now, also on our financials, we got our XLF. We're crossing in. We're crossing out of the momentum phases of the uptrend, and this is more of a more neutral area. And we're coming down and testing this accelerated trend line on, and we will be opening tomorrow at this level on that trend line. So if the information coming out of Lennar isn't what the market's really like, I mean, it could really help bring the banks down further. And we're starting to see a lot of issues with the banking system over in Europe too. So that's getting our banks off on a bad foot in the morning before we even start trading. Now, as I showed you on the SPY, we were holding above the September close. But when I look at this chart right here, this is a far more bearish read on the banking index, the banks in the S&P 500. This is even a worse read than the XLF, and they are poised to potentially break down here from prior highs. So we're coming in tomorrow with a lot of risk in the financials at this level. On our internet stocks, we actually closed below the midpoint, the 50% fib fan line. So we actually closed in a more bearish tone than we have in a very long time. So this uptrend that we've had since, give me 1 second. Yeah, the uptrend started back in April of this year. We actually crossed into bearish territory on that uptrend as of today's close. So keep that in mind that this was either an amazing buy coming into tomorrow, or we could start very easily seeing some responsive selling in the markets in the morning. On our weekly, on our semiconductors, we're dojing out like we did last week, right here. But on our daily chart, I wanted to point something out that I'm seeing. Let's get we have a shooting star formation. That's on the daily, as of just for 1 day's view, it was quite bearish on the semis going into tomorrow's open. So just keep that in mind. Okay, your Nadex, the S&P 100. Well, Monday we had that huge gap up. Well, as of close, we didn't quite have a shooting star because we didn't eclipse the entire range, but it was quite a bearish candle. We closed at Monday's lows, and that was actually September's closing price. So we are right here, right now, have wiped out all of October's move in the Nadex. And then also, I do want to point out here, we have been trending below this 50% fib fan. Even though we've been putting in higher prices, this is typically, historically, a more bearish area for the markets. You don't typically see a double top on the opposite side of the 50% fan. So that's why I think there's a high likelihood this thing's going to be rolling back over. Your transportation index, which primarily airlines, we did break the prior swing high. We're coming back down inside of that. We are still holding the accelerated uptrend, but this is something to definitely keep on watch. And we broke the 50 SMA on the airlines stocks. We had a pretty bad day on the airlines. And that's why I think this entire accelerated uptrend it's all going to be fall apart here because of the higher fuel costs and everything else going on in the markets. But yeah, I think the transports are really susceptible to break this accelerated uptrend and come down into this lower range. Potentially, probably down to the first place would be down to the 5386 area. So that's just something I would not be going long airlines here. IYT is mostly your railroads. It's holding up a little bit better because but it has broken back down into. It's got a double top in play right here, and we are testing the lows of this consolidation area. So there's a decent chance we're going to get a roll at least back to this uptrend line on our transports at the very least. So, and that's on the weekly. And then something to look for tomorrow. We are right on that 50 SMA on our daily for our transports. So on this breakout, it held as support last time. So we'll see. That was an extremely high volume candle there. So I do not think at 50 SMA is going to hold because today was a low volume day. And your XLY on the daily, we broke the accelerated uptrend and we're coming down to test the 50 SMA. That one there might find support because there is a reference bounce point here last time. It really does concern me the high volume. The volume is actually, well, that volume didn't increase too much there, but yeah, your XLY is showing a little bit of weakness here. XRT, your retail, just absolutely got destroyed today. I had put this out yesterday in my tweets and stuff. It was right down here at reference support level. Broke to 50 SMA Monday, and it just come crashing down today on extremely high volume. So just keep that in mind. Your retail seems to be breaking down here. So, and there isn't really any reference support until we could actually come crashing down fairly easy. We are back testing this breakout area back in January. That's where retail is as of this week right now. So that's not, we're coming crashing down pretty hard here for only 2 days into the week, and we're already back testing January highs. That's not a overly bullish sign to start October. Just something to keep on watch here. I don't know how much fuel in the tank for this week we can get. XLV, that's your healthcare. It has been on fire the past 2 months. And we are kind of dojiing out up here. So just keep that one in mind. We've got a doji so far this week, which could quite easily turn into a bearish candle. And then I'm going to finish the video with XBI. That's the biotechs in the S&P 500. And we are back testing prior. Let me show you. Okay, we were back testing the range lows down here. But actually, the prior breakout, the breakout level is way down here at 91.13. So this thing could have room to fall here if the markets decide to continue to roll over. So, and that's down here near our, let's see here, let me show you. Go back down over here. And auto. This here is our 50% fib fan. So that does look like where our XBI is headed. So that gives us two sectors in the S&P 500 that look like they're showing some relative weakness. That might drag it down. Now, oh yeah, I wanted to stop with the diamond. The diamonds are on fire here. We're kind of breaking out, pushing out above our swing, our last highs there. But I want to point out just how little we have moved up above the prior swing highs. So we're not out of the woods by any means. And if you go on a daily here, you can see better. We had our gap up Monday, and then the diamonds came in a little bit. They closed, and then we came in a little bit more this morning, and we got a little bit of a rally. So we were up 160 some points on the Dow, okay, and we are retesting this prior swing high. Now I do see quite a bit of upside potential in Boeing if the markets do catch a bid, and so. But you see this oscillating range it's been trading in here. Uh, Things are looking really good for the Dow right now. So you don't want to short the Dow by any means, but the Dow Jones. So that's just some ideas on floating right here. We'll see what happens. The markets were trading down into the Lennar news coming out tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. I do see a lot of reason to think that there's going to be some profit taking in the next couple weeks.